Hi, this is Mike again with Jordan Tech Tutorials. In this tutorial, we're going to be looking at Canvas quiz banks. So Canvas quiz banks are cool because you can add any questions from the quiz making tool. You can add any of those questions into an item bank, and then that bank is available not just to your other classes, but also to they're available to everybody else. And so once you bank an item, and I'll show you in the portal here quickly. But once you bank an item, then it's available through all your classes, which is great because one of the complaints about quizzes is that it's kind of hard to copy the quizzes from course to course to course. This way, you can build the questions in one course, and then once you open the quiz editor, you can add them to a different course. Let me show you how that works. Okay, so I'm going to go to my dashboard. I'm going to select my sandbox. Okay, and I have, let's see, under quizzes, I have a couple of samples. So let me see this one right here. Okay, so this is the setup screen where you need to enter in your information in terms of points and due dates and all that stuff. But what we want to do is we want to get over to build. Okay, and I already have a few questions in this, and I've already banked them. So just kind of a tutorial on the new quizzes. So if you use old quizzes, I would recommend moving over to new ones. Once you're in the build screen, then you have some options up at the top. You can preview your quiz, but the one we want here is item banks. Okay, so basically what you do is I just wrote this question in photography: what is an underexposed image? And then see, it says banked item. I already banked it. Some options and the point values can change here, but editing must take place within the bank. So I can change the points, and that's just pretty much it. But what I can do is once it's banked, I can go edit and bank. And then here is the bank with it in there. And then all I have to do is just make the changes that I want to make. So the question is, how do I get that question into a bank? Well, if we want to just take a little journey down that road, all we have to do is just go up here to item banks and then make sure that we're in the item bank screen. So once you click on, like, say for example, photography quiz questions, you can see up here it says item banks and then photography quiz questions. Those are the actual questions in the bank. But if I want to look at all the banks I have, all I have to do is click here, item banks. Okay. And in this course, I have my photography quiz questions, and I'll have to just click on that to see what questions are in there. So once you are over in the building screen, as soon as you bank it, it flies right over here to the item bank, and it becomes a permanent part of that bank. So let me show you how that kind of works. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to question number 4, right? There's these little plus signs. I'm going to add another question and make it an essay question. And then what I want to do here. So under new quizzes, you don't need to put a question title in. All you need to do is put the stem in. So it says enter question and prompt. That's where I want to go. And then I'll ask a question like, what is ISO on a camera? Okay, so these are questions that I can use in my photography class. I have the question stem there. Now the question is, how do I get that into my bank? All I have to do is come down here to item banking, add to bank, and then here, existing item bank. You can see that I have my photography quiz questions there. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to add. Okay. And so now what is ISO on a camera is now in my bank. To verify that, all I'd have to do is just come over here to item banks, and then you can see that it's already banked in here. Okay. So it's this one. What is ISO on a camera? And that happens to be in this bank. Now, kind of the crazy thing about item banking is the fact that if I change this course right here and I go to all banks, okay, it'll show me all of the banks that I've created in all of my courses that are assigned to me. So my sandbox isn't connected to the main system because it's like the practice area before you go and you actually access all your courses. So look at this real quick. These are just the ones that I've created for my multiple sandboxes that I have. But if I go into an actual class that's connected to Synergy, for example, like my let's go to golf. Okay. And I go to quizzes here, and I go to plus quiz, new quizzes. Okay, so remember, this is a class that's connected to Synergy. And I'm just going to go test sample item banking. Okay. And I do need to fill in some of the particulars here. I'll just delete this later, but for the sample, I'll just show you. So in order to move on from here, I have to have the points and I have to have the due date. So I'm going to go to build. And then this is the difference with a class that is on Synergy, which should be most of your classes. You'd have the sandbox to kind of play around with. But if we go to item banks, right, before we even put a question in, if we go to item banks, okay, and I go to all banks, it has all of the quizzes that have been created. To be honest, I don't know if it's just at our school or if it's like fed from the commons. But you can search for just about anything. So if I go like history, this, and I go just click on one of them, see if there's any questions. Like these are questions that have already been created by other teachers. So you can go ahead and if you wanted to use one of them, you just go boop plus and it shows up. Right. So that's the beauty of the banking is not only would your banks show up in there, but also too is all of the other banks made by, it seems like either all of our teachers or all the teachers in Long Beach or all of the teachers who use Canvas. I'm not exactly sure, but I know that they're all there waiting for us. And then what you can do is you can actually share the bank with a particular class. And then that bank would be, you wouldn't have to go searching around for anything. That bank would be saved in your local class. You could just pick it, and then you could add all the questions from that particular bank. Okay. So if I didn't want that one, I can just delete it, remove question, but it still remains in that bank. Now, if I go up to item banks and I go back here to banks, if I wanted to, let's say this was another photography class. So I treated my sandbox before like it was photography, but if let's say I wanted to import those photography questions, what if I just go photography? Oop, spelled it wrong. Okay. So this one, the reason that it's not showing up in this one is because I didn't share the sandbox. I didn't share the sandbox from that quiz that I created. I didn't share that to this particular course, so it's not showing up. And also, too, sandbox courses aren't they're not connected to Synergy, so that's not going to automatically just show up if I do. Actually, let me just do this. It did show up. So it did save my photography questions from my sandbox, but it saved it in all banks. And this is what I was saying about, I'm not sure whether all of the banks get saved across the district or all the Canvas users, but it's pretty incredible if you just search all banks and there's like pages and pages and pages, like pretty much like endless quiz questions you can pull from. Okay, so the item banking system is pretty cool. What I would recommend is that if you use the item banking, or if you use new quizzes, bank everything. And then once you bank all that stuff, then you can use those test questions across multiple classes. And you can also see what other people are making as well. Okay, so if you have any questions on Canvas quiz banks, just email me.